There it was. He's Reagan-esque. We have 17 candidates desperately who want to be Reagan-esque. Parse that phrase for us and what it means for Mr. Trump and the other candidates.
Yeah, so John sat down with 12 New Hampshire Republicans and independents who were sympathetic to Donald Trump's candidacy. And the thing we heard over and over and over again was authenticity. And that's really what I think he was getting at when he said Reagan-esque in this context was he says what he means, and he's a leader who's willing to offend people to get things done.
Does it change the debate? Does it change the dialogue at the two debates Fox going to have? Are we going to see a Reagan love fest as everybody tries to outdo Reagan-esque?
Oh, I can imagine that that's definitely going to be the case. You're going to have people all trying to straight talk each other into Americans' hearts. Yeah.
I'm trying to get Carly Fiorina straight talking.
You know, this was the appeal of John McCain in 2000. You know, when he would still talk to reporters and he was open, and he had the same kind of engaging style. Which candidate, which non-Trump candidate, is best poised to tap into this thirst for something real and unvarnished?
So what was really interesting last night when John sat down with these folks was he asked them straight out, so who is your second candidate? If Trump weren't in the race right now, who would you like? And they were divided a little bit. They mentioned a number of names, but the most we heard were Ben Carson and Scott Walker. And I think for two different reasons. Ben Carson, because he's that non-politician that they're so craving. They said over and over again that Donald Trump can't be bought. Donald Trump, you know, is his own man. He's not a politician. He's like us, they even said, which is really fascinating. It was this, he's one of us because he's not one of them, as in them and one of Washington.
But Scott Walker is one of them.
Well, Scott Walker is a governor of Wisconsin. He's not in, you know, they don't seem as entrenched in Washington, D.C. And he's also, they see him sort of encapsulating the winner part of Donald Trump. Right. He's fought and he's won, and that's what they kept saying.
If we go to our dungeon of Bloomberg politics, the dark, closed corridor of the Heilemann helper and empire, everyone is focused on how Donald Trump gets from 18 or 20% of polling out to a legitimate competitive electoral number. How does he do that? What is the methodology to expand from his base?
You know, it's hard to say at this point because with a field this large, 25% of the vote is actually, I mean, when you look at Iowa, you know, there are people who have won the state of Iowa with, you know, a third of the vote, right? So he's really not that far away. Expanding that is, for Trump, kind of a, you know, he just thinks he needs to keep doing what he's doing, straight talking to the American people.
He is crushing it in terms of earned media. You're a pro. Pros always talk about the ground game. Barack Obama had an amazing ground game in Iowa. Does this matter for Trump? Does he have that together as well?
We have not seen any indication that he's building ground game anywhere. And at this point, he hasn't needed to because he gets the free media. He's got all this money. He doesn't need to spend any of it because we, you know, we all just cover him. So
as we're doing right now,
Will he get funded though? Will he get funding?
He's gotten some donors, but he's really not shown much interest in it, to be honest.
How does he change the language, the cadence, the pace for Governor Bush of Florida?
So what's interesting is I think we're going to learn a lot about the candidates in this race by how they deal with Donald Trump. I think we're going to see their management styles. I think they're going to see their leadership styles. I think we're going to see how they can think on their feet when they address him on the debate stage. Do you have a timeline
into August? Is there one date that you, John, and Mark are really focused on?
Once we get past this first debate, I think after that, everybody's going to be kind of in gear over the fall, ramping up to
When's the
January.
Debate, the 20th?
It's the 6th of August.
The 6th of August.
Yeah, it's really soon, next week.
But, Steve, we're still talking about him in terms of his effect on all the other candidates that we take seriously. What event, what data, what point will we start having to take him seriously as a possible nominee?
I think there are people who are taking him seriously. I mean, as a possible nominee winning the nomination, I think we'll have to wait until, you know, closer to the primaries. But if he keeps his numbers this high, I think we're going to have to start talking about him seriously.
I want to be careful
and some people
here.
are.
I saw out on Twitter, and I want to be very careful here, folks, on the sourcing, that Mr. Trump said he would take Ms. Palin into his cabinet. Is he expanded beyond that to other names of Republican politics that he's comfortable with?
I've not seen him. He's talked a lot about the types of people that he would have at the negotiating table, and he talked about the official down on, near the border. He said that he would appoint someone like that in Texas, the official in Texas. He would appoint someone like that to handle immigration. So he's nodded at it here and there, but he hasn't put up any sort of official proposals or anything.
Steve, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Greatly appreciated. Right now.